Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, we are running Tales of the Valiant, Kobold Press's Tales of the Valiant, set in the world of Midgard, also from Kobold Press, in the Marathi Empire, the Dragon Empire. The name of this campaign is Scourge of the Dragon Empire. And the theme of it is the characters fighting the tyranny of the dragons that rule over the Dragon Empire in their expanded realm. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, tools, adventures, scenarios, all kinds of great stuff you get for being a patron of Sly Flourish. I also get access to the incredible Sly Flourish Lazy RPG community over on Discord, and they help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. So last week, the characters made their way through the red portal and they got to the other side. Some fun and interesting things happened on the other side. We decided, I think last time we decided that they arrived at the Shrine of Sabatius, which lies beneath the Monastery of Isis. And I think we had a map. Let's see if I can pull up a map here. So we made like an overland map here. And my thought is that the shrine is kind of like this, the shrine that they come out of. The whole thing is like they step through a red portal. So they were in one big ruined city called Tutakarma. They found the key that opens up the red portal. They opened up the red portal. They went through the other side and found themselves at the bottom of another shrine and have been making their way out. And I think, and the way we said it was that like the shrine that they entered on the other side had not been opened by anybody on the other side, which means they're kind of the first ones through. They went into a chamber, and I decided at the kind of last minute to roll some random encountery kind of stuff. And I rolled on the Tales of the Valiant Game Master's Guide and rolled a Bone Naga. And I said, ooh, that's perfect. Hey, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. I rolled up a Bone Naga, and I said, Bone Naga is actually a perfect kind of monster that would be guarding the other side of the red portal. So the Bone Naga popped up, and big skull with like a serpentine body, and it was right around, I think it's like CR8 or CR9. So I was like, ooh, it's going to be if they fight it, it's going to be really tough. But they ended up not fighting it. They managed to convince it, because the Bone Naga was like, how dare you, Dragon Empire people. The Bone Naga person, the Bone Naga was there to protect the red portal and was on the side of the Nurians against the Dragon Empire. So as long as the characters managed to convince the Bone Naga that they were actually also fighting the Dragon Empire, the Bone Naga was like, okay, what do you want? And so it ended up working for them, saying, I will guard this portal and make sure that only that you and those you send through are able to go through this portal. Otherwise, we'll kill everybody else. I'll kill everyone else. And the character's like, great, we just got ourselves a Bone Naga ally, right? So that was kind of a fun bit. And then I think that's where the session ended, was them convincing Pixathor, the spirit Naga. It's a spirit Naga, not a Bone Naga. I don't know if they have Bone Nagas. So Pixathor, the Bone Naga. And I think we gotta add Pixathor to our NPC list here. Probably a current NPC. Pixathor, the spirit Naga guarding the red portal, guardian of the red portal at Nerdarin in the Shrine of Isis. So that's cool. I did ask the characters, I guess the players kind of decided what they wanted to do next. And what they wanted to do was, they said, like, we want to go back to 440 Fingers. Like they did want to catch back up with the money train that they've set. So they're going to head back to the 440 Fingers. It doesn't sound like they're going to spend a lot of time in Nerdarin, which is fine. Like this is like that tip for prep. Like, you don't want to over prep everything, because, you could say like, oh, I have all these big plans and big quests and all this stuff in Nerdarin. And then it turns out they don't want to go to Nerdarin. And you're like, oh, all this stuff I prepped. So I don't think we spent a ton of time in the last session planning some of it. And actually there's a big pile of secrets. So I have all of these like locations and secrets and stuff like that. And those are still viable. It's just, I now no longer need to fill them out. I thought that the characters might spend some time in Nerdarin and go on a bunch of quests and do a bunch of things while this kind of the bivouacked army of the Southern Dragon Coil armies were there. And they'll still get to see all of that stuff on their way. But it sounds like that their plan is, no, we want to go through. And I don't know if I'm going to prep both. They could go overland through the mountains. And if we were doing it hex based, we have kind of a hex thing here. Let's see. So Nerderin is here, and so if they were going hex based, if they were following the like going through the little mountain range here, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It'd be about 8 days across the land. Each one of these hexes is like a 24-mile hex. So even Nerderin to 440 Fingers is pretty far. My thought was that they could actually travel through the mountains, and there is I think what we could do is that if you see that blue line, the blue line is a ley line. And if we pull up the Midgard World Book here, if we pull up the Midgard World Book, we have these ley lines. And we can take a look and see like which one of these ley lines is the ley line that they are traveling across. It looks like it's the dragon's, is that the dragon's coil? It's kind of two. There's two there, the gray way and the dragon's coil. It looks like the gray way. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two. One of them, yeah, I don't really have a great... Oh, no, it's listed on there, the Scholar's Path. So we could say that there's like an offshoot of the Scholar's Path. I presume the other one is called the Dragon's Coil. And let's see if the Midgard book talks about the Scholar's Path. Scholar's Path, strangely serene road filled with roiling clouds, peculiar trees, and a host of runes scratched on every stone and wall. Thought to be somehow influenced by the dragon dreams of Marat, and sometimes noted as a tributary of lesser ley lines linked to Dragon Coil. Relatively safe for dragonkin of all coins, much less so for furred races. I think we're going to probably change that and make it more of a wild shadow road. So the idea is that they could travel through the mountain on a lesser path of the Scholar's Path, a less traveled road of the Scholar's Path that could get them from Nerderin to 440 Fingers in like 2 days instead of 7 days. So not exactly not exactly like as fast as a red portal, but that gives them like this a smuggler's route. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a name for that, the name for the path. So, you can invent your own little ley lines. You don't have to just stick with the ones in the book. You can make your own up. So, but we need to get ready and actually prep. So let us jump to Obsidian, and we're going to go to my session notes and create a new note from a template. And we have my Dragon Empire template, and we are all set. So the strong start today. So they just met. I think like, what's the strong start? A thought is that some great, could it be just a coincidence that some tomb robbers from a mercenary company are busy trying to break through the stone wall on the other side? And they can kind of hear them. I think like a strong start could be, like this isn't a bad one, that tomb robbers are trying to break in. Well, how hidden do we, like, I would presume that the antechamber that the characters are in and making their way out of is very well hidden, or else people would have broken into it by now. So maybe they hear tomb robbers trying to break into, break into other in the shrine above. Aziz, light. So that's not bad. Is there anything else going on that they could hear about that would be like a strong start? Yeah, muffled voices arguing through a wall. I think that's not bad, right? And that's like there's room to do stuff there. It's got a little bit of the fun, what do you do in this situation, right? So like tomb robbers breaking in. Now, from our last session, we created a bunch of factions. I was interested in creating a bunch of separate factions. So I'm going to bring those in. So the inhabitants of Nerderin, this is a good secret that we're going to pull over because it's got all of our stuff in it. Inhabitants of Nerderin include the third finger of the lower left hand, who are friendly bandits to the lower left hand of Nakrash. The fangs of Digi, who are bad bandits. The ghost walkers of the Pale Mother are around. The Akinji of the Southern Dragon Coil, allied with Ibelin the Illustrious. The Sharpened Coin, who are mercenaries of Mammon. So I think it's like the tomb robbers are probably, so for fun, I don't know. Well, so let's see. Do I want to roll randomly for this and let the fates decide? Get my little dice roller here. Do I want so I can let the fates decide. right? These inhabitants, I can actually apply like numbers to them. 1 for the lower left hand, the third finger of the lower left hand, which I think is funny because it's the middle finger. The Fangs of Digi, the Ghost Walkers of the Pale Mother, the Akinji of the Southern Dragon Coil, or Sharpened Coin. 5-sided die because I've got a fancy thing, and I rolled a 5. So hey, look, it's the Sharpened Coin, who is kind of what I wanted it to be. So think of like what group is breaking in, right? And it could be like the Tomb Robbers are a splinter, or like a AWOL members of the Sharpened Coin. That's fun. And that's who they hear, that's who they hear above. And the cool situation is like the characters will hear them lurking about and can decide what they want to do about it. They can decide what they want to do about it. Do they want to, they could fight them, they could assassinate them, they could negotiate with them and bargain with them. There's all kinds of things that they could do. So good, solid situation instead of like predetermining how it's going to work out. And if I want, I can roll a die to determine their hostility and things like that. So we have some Tomb Robbers. The Tomb Robbers probably would be like a single veteran, or, a veteran and probably a bunch of bandits would make sense, I think. Then escaping or leaving, it's not really escaping, they're not trapped. Leaving the Shrine of Isis is kind of the next. And I've got this like 1-line description of the location that will work for me. I did that last time. I have these other like locations, Vestar's Citadel. So Vestar is the young silver dragon who is a son of Ibelin who rules over this place. I just watched the TV series Shogun on Hulu. So there's lots of like fun inner, like regent fighting against regent sort of stuff going on there that I can pilfer for ideas. And the idea of like, Vestar being a son of Ibelin, one of the things. And so it's a royal, I think that could be good. I think these locations are still pretty good because they're going to see all this stuff when they go out. So even though I'm never going to get this to fit on one page too. I did my whole like, I just wrote an article about making sure your notes will fit on one page, and I'm going to blow that out of the water today. We'll see. Because I need these guys too, right? I might get rid of some of them because they're not really going to meet all these people. But Vestar's important. Navarre, Red Whisper, the scout leader of the Third Finger. And who are they? What are they? Go to the Sly Flourish random generator, a feature of patrons of Sly Flourish. We could have Navir could be a hobgoblin scout leader. That works. Melsoon. Oh, wait. Oh, we have the scout leader that they might meet. And then Melsoon Graveheart is the halfling commander of the Third Finger. Cloud Cleaver is leader of the Fangs of Digi. I think we're going to pull them out. I don't know that we're going to need them. So I don't know that we need a Fang of Digi. And Aethon Iron Chest. Aethon's a cool name. We're going to simplify it. Aethon Iron Chest, the orc leader of the Sharpened Coin, of the mercenaries. The Sharpened Coin mercenaries. That's fun. Since they're meeting a Sharpened Coin, we call a Siege Blade. Veteran commander of the Sharpened Coin. He's the one that's breaking into... He's leading the group to like go, they're mercenaries, so they just want money. And they're like, we could just break into some of these tombs and get a little bonus. So they've decided that they kind of broke away while they're waiting for things to happen. And that's helping them out. So I have some monsters. So the characters are still, do they reach 5th level? They're going to, I think, do we want them to reach 5th level now? Or we're going to hang on? I think they're going to hang on to 4th level until they return to the 440 fingers. And I think, I don't want things to go too quickly. So I think the next sort of, what is it called? The waypoint, the next chapter of their journey where they get to level 5 will be returning to 440 fingers. They've done a lot though. I don't know. It might be time. It might be time. Like when they step out and see the bivouac would be the time that they hit 5th level. That doesn't seem too out of hand. We've had 13 sessions, I found out. Is now a good time or should I wait? Yeah, I think so. Because then they can face more dangers in the caves. The passageway I think could be a big deal. So if they haven't, I think they will. I think it's time. I think it's time they reach 5th level. So viewing Nerderin and gaining 5th level. So then I think we want to have a series of caves and a shadow road. The shadow road is a splinter. So this is kind of a secret. I'll put a secret in here. A splinter of the ley line known as the Scholar's Path of the Scholar's Path ley line. Ley line known as what? If it's a ley line, it could be something about an apprentice, the footpath of the apprentice. What are those called? Like the deer paths and things. The ambitious apprentice. That's kind of a fun, known as the ambitious apprentice. Except ambitious apprentice, I don't know, it sounds different. I think it needs to be sort of like, so it's going to be underground, right? The splinter of the ley line is going to be underground, and that when they go across the ley line, they might not even know, are we in Midgard or are we traveling in the Shadow Realm? And, I think it's kind of a mix. And it's sort of an unseen path. Like the dragon sages know about these things, but this one is one that's not particular. And I don't know that I'm going to get too shadow roady, other than, there'll be dangerous things that they face there. The Sunless stream. That's a good one. We'll go with that. Known as the Sunless stream, cuts through is there a name for those mountains? Not really. I like to give those mountains, the mountains that sort of exist between Nerderin and 440 Fingers, should also have a name. It doesn't have a name here, according to the book. The Fallen, it looks kind of like the Fallen Drake Hills, cutting 7 days of travel into 2. So we got that. So let's see. Meeting, I think no matter what we do, we want them to meet the third finger. Meeting the third finger and learning of the Sunless stream. Travel through the Sunless stream. Arrival at 4 of FOFF. So that's kind of the next, those are sort of the next scenes, I think, that can kind of take place. And I think that's almost certainly, and like the travel through the Sunless stream, they're just probably going to get started with that today. I prepped a little bit more, and you can see I even did it last time. I prepped a lot about Nuri Natal, and they never made it there. They never even saw it. So character-wise, I have a couple of players who are not around. Do I remember who? Emmert is there. Tolstoy is there. I think Rowan might be out. Matteo, I think Gaudenzia might be out. I'm not sure. We'll just keep the whole list there. So are there any, let's see, Amavin recognizes so Amavin is a spy and a rogue, the many factions of the Dragon Coil armies. Gaudenzia, who is a ranger, what would let's see, Gaudenzia as a ranger and also had worked previously with the army, can see the morale of the armies isn't great. Cal remembers seeing Vestar drinking her fancy wine before taking over her vineyard. Well, we don't have to add that part, just drinking her fancy wine. Matteo has constructed the keys to the red portal and the vaults, the antechamber of Sabatis. Rowan, I think like the morale of the armies like sees that the wear down of the armies and knows the dragons, the Ekgini, I call them Ekgini, but they're Ekgini, will simply push them harder to protect their new realms to the north, to the northern Dragon Coil. Tolstoy, I think that Cattell knows, can feel the violence build up in this army. And also a ranger, can tell how easily one can infiltrate or escape such a large encampment. So those are some good character drivers, I think. So secrets and clues, since they're going along the Sunless stream, are there factions operating in the Sunless stream? So this is where we can dig into another Midgard product called Ebon Tides. Ebon Tides is a book about the Shadow Roads. Let's see if I can find it. Book of Ebon Tides, it's called. So we have sort of different factions. The Book of Ebontides is really kind of a neat book that talks about the Shadow Roads and like what's happening among the Shadow Roads. And it has factions and other things going on here. And I think what I want to do is kind of say like, there are different sort of lords of the Shadow Roads, and which one kind of runs these underground realms. I think ghouls, there is a ghoul prince that is not the one from Empire of the Ghouls, but one on the other side that I think could be an interesting ruler of this land. Fun map. So here's where we have like the courts, the Midnight Teeth. It's a great name. Court of Night and Magic, of course, run by the Queen of Night and Magic. Court of the Million Stars, the Pale Roses. First Servant of Hecate, a Shadow Fae. The Court of Pale Roses could be interesting. Court of the Moonlit King, Winter's Love. I thought there was a ghoul one. The Witch Queen. They have Fallen Courts. I swear I thought there was a ghoul. Let's say ghoul. Do a search for ghoul. The Twilight Empire. The Empire of the Ghouls exists in the crossroads region of Midgard and beyond, tunneling through the mortal world. But the Darakul are also active in the Shadow Realm, and their empire is here, if anything, even more dangerous, as it relies on alliances with shadow dragons and a cave dragon lich, Dreadwing. Their ability to walk shadow roads and to visit Evermaw, the planar realm of the undead, also makes the Shadow Realm's Darakul exceptionally dangerous. Ruled by an emperor who considers Nicophorus his imperial cousin, and the two nations seem to exchange ambassadors, trade in goods, and conduct various supporting activities. The primary difference is that the ghouls in the Shadow Realm have the ability to feed on the strange trees of the crackling forests, which means they hunt and devour humanoids somewhat less often. So the Twilight Empire. I think that could be kind of fun. So I think we'll go with that. I've been looking at the wrong thing this whole time. Skimming through. So the Twilight Empire, which is from Book of Ebontides. A cool book by Kobold Press. Darakul. So let's see. The Sunless Stream is under the rulership of the Twilight Empire, ruled by the Darakul king, Emperor Vilmos Markuring. Vilmos Markuring. That's a hard name to say. It's filled with dead trees upon which ghouls devour the sap within. That's kind of good and creepy. We'll have to have some kind of encounters along the way. So we could actually have two sort of competing groups that are fighting here. So they can get into a factional, a faction fight between two different factions of Shadow Fae groups. The Umbral Pantheon. Ooh, look at that. That's a cool looking Darakul. I like it. It's kind of fun when Moonlit Glades, werebears and stuff. The problem is, so I have one player who played in my other group, and they already saw a lot of these. So I kind of like to grab somebody that he hasn't seen before. And Bearfolk. So Witch Queen I dealt with. Tower of Horn and Gold. Brook. Winter's Love. The Moonlit King. Court of Sparrows. Pale Roses. Court of the Million Stars. Night and Magic. The Midnight Teeth. So the Midnight Teeth are kind of interesting. Mostly gnomes. I don't know if they'd be operating in the Underdark. In the Shadow Dark? Shadow Realms. Mice and Ravens. The Golden Oak. Like, who else would be operating in the underworld? The Midnight Teeth would be kind of fun. The Blue Barbers. Yeah, so this is kind of fun. I think we're going to have, so the Midnight Teeth, the Blue Barbers of the Midnight Teeth have been hunting along the Sunless Stream, hoping to open up a trade road through Midgard on behalf of so they can have like another trade road in here. And they might be a perfect group to ally with. The Blue Barbers all have blue hair and dress very well. They're all skilled. What do they call it? Valets, barbers, art dealers, decorators, stylists, blackmailers, and smugglers. That's fun. So I think that'd be a fun faction they could run into down there. We probably want to throw some secrets from last time in here too. So the regiments of the Southern Dragonclaw are bivouacked outside the city of Nerdoran. Silver Dragon, son of Ibelin, named Vestar the Shining Storm, commands them. That's good. Ibelin the Illustrious is heavily engaged in the current holdings of Cryption and Rumela, taken from the 7 cities. The battles have been costly. That's important. I'll keep that one. Ibelin reluctantly hired the Sharpened Coin mercenaries to augment their forces in Northern Dragonquel. I don't really need to keep that as a secret. People whisper of cannibalistic humanoids with painted pale skins have always been kidnapping and devouring wanderings. The Akinji outlawed any discussion of these attacks. So that can work. Nerdoran, human city that resided in the rival of dragons. Inhabitants of Nerdoran. I got humanoid bandits and raiders nearby bivouac of Marathi soldiers. I don't need that. ISIS information, Sabatus information. Probably not terrible. Keep that handy. I got that problem that I'm going to have my notes are going to be too big. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 secrets. So I got enough secrets. So I can probably take out... Aleko Kane says, which dragon is this under? Ibelin the Illustrious is the dragon that's ruling over this area. And Ibelin's son, named Vestus, is here commanding. Vestar. Necrotic Sinkhole of the Pale Mother. And these are kind of fun little locations, which we can keep in mind. I'm totally screwed when it comes to page count. I'm just going to have to be 2 pages. It's so funny that literally the week I talk about doing it on 1 page is the week that I have to do 2 pages because I got too much stuff. I need 2 fantastic locations for their exploration through the mountains. Dead trees of the, what are they called? Of the Twilight Empire. That's where, ghoul, like fallen ghouls and Darakul drink from the trees. So that could be one location they run into. And another monument would be good. Let's go to our little monument generator here. Monument, we'll make it a monument of power. And campaign setting, we will do the Book of Ebon Tides. Celestial Opal Nest of Enervation, all creatures. Let's see. Did it? It didn't seem to. Let's do monument. Ethereal Aberrant Monolith of Santir Marosa, Our Lady of Roses. That's kind of interesting. Ethereal Aberrant Monolith. The Black Fang. Let's take a look at that. Floating Glyphed Brazier. We will do a Glyphed Violet Brazier of Emperor Vilmos masquerading the Black Fang. Isn't Vilmos the... I think that's the one that I was talking about. We'll do it of Saresta, the bringer of magic and lady of darkness. What monsters might they face while exploring? Let's drop treasure in because treasure is really easy. Let's get some stuff done here. They are now going to be tier 2. Hey, look, dust of cheese, sneezing and choking. Acidic Aberrant Shield of Saresta Moros, the Lady of Roses. That's kind of funny. Some folks needed a weapon. I wrote some stuff down. Let's take a look. It's time to drop some. Gaudenzia needs something. Denzia would like a cool crossbow. We could have an acidic crossbow it would be a cool patron. Let's see. We'll do, I'm just gonna, of the hunter. 1 time per day can add plus 3d6 acid onto an attack. Which do we like better? That for 1 minute it can add 1d6 acid damage onto attacks, or that 1 shot it can do 3d6. I think the 1 time per day for 1 minute can add plus 1d6 acid damage onto attacks. It's a lot of extra damage, but it's only 1 time per day. That's for Gaudenzia. Cal is a druid. Amavin has the armor of swarms, but would probably love everyone wants bows and crossbows. Rowan wants a magic battle axe. Mateo, a mechanist implement. Tolstoy likes wands. Emmert would like a magic bow or magic light weapon. So let's do a short sword. Let's see what we can do as item and Ebon Tides, and then just make it a short sword. A glass dark elven short sword. Oh, what about a glass sword? And we can add spells to it. This would kind of be fun. Whoops. Oh. So what if we had a +1 Twilight shadowy short sword, able to suck the magic out of something. It's a magical void. It can cast a spell magic once per day. That's kind of a fun sort of utility-ish sort of item. I think that's pretty good. So monsters, we're just going to do a quick list of monsters they might run into. So I think we can just use, let's go to Tales of the Valiant, and we'll go to the Monster Vault, and we'll go to Snow Spreads, and we'll do creatures by terrain, and we're going to go to, Underground, jellies, zombie ogres, Darrows. I don't know what I want. I'm just going to roll random. I'm going to roll randomly on the list when I'm running the game. I think we're just going to do that. I'll bring the Game Master's Guide with me, and I will roll for encounters and see what I like, and go with that. So I think I'm all set. That might actually get me to print on one page. Let's see. File, export to print, PDF, export, desktop. Oh, that is too big. So export to PDF. Downscale to, we'll do 75. That'll do. It's a little tight, but I can read it. Print that. And I've got my notes. Friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while we prepared for my Dragon Empire game. If you enjoyed this show and you want to see more stuff like this, please consider subscribing to the Sly Flourish newsletter. It is absolutely free to sign up. You can find a link in the show notes for signing up, and you get a free adventure generator PDF and an RPG-related article with links to all the other stuff that I do linked in each article. You can also support me directly through patrons get access to things like the Sly Flourish Random Generator and the Sly Flourish Artisanal Monster Database and the Dyson Map Viewer and all kinds of awesome stuff. You also get to join our Discord server, and you help me put on shows like this. Or you can pick up any of my books, including City of Arches, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Lazy DM's Companion, Forge of Foes, and more at the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links for all of those are in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.